Hello. Last conference, I was asked to lead a Q&A with the new party leader, Douglas Ross. It was a sort of getting to know you affair, covering life, the universe, dairy cattle and everything. And beforehand, I'd called up Douglas's wife, Crystal, to get the lowdown, telling all his family secrets about his need for pasta before a big football match and his unnatural love for the pop band Atomic Kitten. Well, Douglas isn't a new leader anymore. He's firmly taken the reins, he's driving the whole party forward, and as it were at the business end of an electoral cycle, I thought a more workmanlike set of questions might be in order. So I thought I'd speak to his workmates, and I got the MSP group to submit questions for this Q&A. And I'll ask you, Douglas, to guess maybe your MSP colleague that might have submitted them afterwards. So let's start off talking about the big events in Scotland this year. Yes, we've got the election in May, but it's not the only big political event. We've got the COP26 in Glasgow at the end of the year. What do you want to see come out of that?
Well, I want a lasting legacy from it. I mean, I think it's outstanding that the UK got this conference on our shores. It will promote Glasgow, Scotland and the whole country. It will be the biggest conference ever hosted in the United Kingdom. But I've said, and I get asked about this a lot, I want it to be an important 11 days, but that we learn from it and we have clear, tangible outcomes, that we see an improvement to climate change, global warming, and some really lasting legacies. But I also think it's an opportunity for small, medium, larger businesses in Scotland in that sector to really showcase what they can do as well. So there's lots of opportunities, but I think they would be wasted if we just focus on those 11 days when world leaders are here and the debate there. I think we need to look at a lasting legacy from it beyond November.
Now, a lot of the work kind of gets done before. The mood music coming out of the White House, coming out of some of the other major countries, is that actually they want something to happen too. Are you hopeful that this can be one of the COPs that really matters? Yeah,
no, I think it can be, and it's been lined up as that. As you say, there's already really good dialogue happening. I think Alok Sharma as the president of COP26 for the UK government is a really positive move. You know, we've just heard this week that a number of select committees at Westminster have all come together to look at how his efforts and the UK government's efforts to host a really successful conference, but with tangible outcomes, will be monitored in the months ahead. So there's progress to be made, undoubtedly. The work doesn't just start when the world leaders arrive here in Scotland in November. It's happening now, but it also has to continue post-November as well.
Now, obviously, climate justice, the climate emergency is a huge global policy area, but it's not the only one. This year has been unlike any other, and COVID has touched every single country. It's also touched Scotland. So what are your priorities for the COVID recovery?
Well, I think, as you've said, we need some hope and certainty getting through this next phase. The Scottish Government have been far too slow and have not provided that hope for people that we're almost at the end of this health pandemic. And the vaccine, the UK-wide vaccine, has made a huge difference, and we can see the benefits here in Scotland compared to other parts of Europe and indeed across the world. But I really think we've got to focus on what happens in the next few months as we start to slowly and safely reopen the economy and get back to a form of normality. We've got to keep protecting jobs and businesses who have been through the most difficult 12 months. It has been so hard for so many sectors, and I think the support we've seen so far, it has protected all these jobs and so many businesses, but there can't be a cliff edge. You know, we've got to continue that support in the weeks and months ahead, and indeed we know from a number of studies that Scotland's economy isn't going to get back to pre-pandemic levels for years. So I really want to have a big push on supporting businesses, supporting sectors and protecting people's jobs over the next few years.
Well, one of the groups that have had a really rough time in COVID have been young people, whether that's people missing school, whether that's, you know, the age of our children, even preschool, or whether that's students. What are you going to do for young people?
Well, I think we've got some really exciting policies for young people and for restoring Scotland's once world-beating and world-leading reputation for educational excellence. That's fallen down the international rankings in the last 14 years, where the SNP have clearly taken the eye off the ball on education. Nicola Sturgeon said to judge her on her #1 priority, which was going to be education, and if we're judging her on that, she's failed, and the Scottish Government have failed. So we've got plans to recruit 3,000 additional teachers over the course of the next Parliament to improve the condition of the schools that young people are being taught in and teachers are teaching in. We've got really ambitious plans for people beyond secondary school. You know, whether they choose to go to university, to college, into apprenticeships or straight into work. We've got to show people there's no wrong turn. You know, I went to college, my twin sister went to university, and it doesn't mean she did better than me because she went into university, and sometimes that's the narrative, so I think we've got to change that. But some really exciting plans for young people, and you're right, they've been affected both with the exam system last year and now a full year of their education disrupted with online learning, getting back to school, blended learning. So we've got to show that we are listening to them, that we are paying attention to their concerns, and we've got the policies to improve education going forward.
What do you think the biggest challenge is going to be in the next Scottish Parliament?
Without a doubt, it's our recovery from the COVID pandemic, the economic recovery, getting confidence back into the economy again, protecting people's jobs, ensuring that businesses who have been supported continue to be supported and have the opportunities to grow. And that's why I think our recovery and rebuilding post-COVID has to be, you know, at the forefront of every politician and every political party's mind in the next Parliament.
Douglas, would you go into coalition or in some other way work with Anas Sarwar to keep the Nationalists out after the election?
Yeah, I've said I would work with any party in the Scottish Parliament to get the SNP out of power. They have, over the last 14 years, failed Scotland because their number one priority is their party's number one priority, which is to separate Scotland from the rest of the UK. So surely those of us who don't believe in that, who believe in Scotland's place in the United Kingdom, can come together if we can force the SNP out. Because we know if the SNP have a majority after the next election, the focus is not going to be on recovery, it's not going to be on rebuilding, it's going to be on another referendum. And that distracts Scottish politics and the Scottish people from the tough issues that we've got to face over the next few years, and that's rebuilding our economy. So let's get rid of them from government, and if that means, you know, working with political parties who we will disagree with over the election campaign, but we can come together after the election to force the SNP out and get Scottish politics back concentrating on the things that matter to people.
Now, you've already made an offer to Anas, to Willie Rennie, to others to do that kind of working together. Were you surprised by their response?
Disappointed, I suppose I would say. You know, I made the offer to Richard Leonard at our last party conference, and he was not enamoured by that proposal. And then when Anas Sarwar was up for the Labour leadership with Monica Lennon, I offered the same to them both, and they turned it down within 30 minutes. And I think it's sad that the Labour Party seem to be happy to work with SNP administrations and councils across Scotland, but they're not happy to work with other opposition parties in Holyrood to get rid of the SNP. So I continue to make that offer. The offer is there to any party who believes in Scotland's place in the United Kingdom. Let's work together to stop the SNP.
Well, talking about political opponents, let's put a hand of friendship out across the aisle. Let's push you. What political opponents would you most admire? Can you pick one out?
Okay.
For someone from another party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I can pick someone from another party who's no longer in a party, and say, and maybe it's a referee in me, I've always admired Ken McIntosh. I think as a politician, he's someone that did try to work across the political parties as a spokesperson for Labour in previous parliaments, and he doesn't always referee the FMQs in the way I would, but I respect what he's done as presiding officer. So I've answered the question. I've picked a political opponent,
that's such a politician
but someone
answer.
who's not in a political party anymore.
And it's not standing at this
Exactly.
election. Yeah, no endorsement for anyone's leaflet there. All right, fair enough. We've seen some pretty nasty debasement of politics in recent years, whether that's online or elsewhere. How do you restore trust in politics and politicians? I
mean, I think that's one of the most demoralising things about politics in general, but particularly Scottish politics at the moment, and it's been the case in the lead up to 2014 and since the last referendum, is just the abuse people get on social media. It does turn people off, and we know that we've got really good candidates who would like to put themselves forward but are put off by getting involved in the political circle. And it's across parties, particularly female candidates are really turned off by the abuse you get on social media. And I've just found, I think it's sad now that, you know, if I went, you know, when Chris and I were announcing that we were expecting our second child, I had to take the comments off on Twitter because I just knew what was going to come in terms of that announcement, which is a positive, non-political announcement, but you just know how certain people and certain individuals on social media will react.
Yeah, you should be a gay woman announcing you're pregnant. Try that one. You should have seen some of the comments that I got.
I can imagine.
But actually, let's talk about the family. So one of the questions actually that my partner wanted to ask you was, do you know all the words to Baby Shark?
Yes, yes, I do. Baby shark, da-da-da-da-da-da. We've got one of these toys that's at
Is
the
it the bath toy?
no, it's a
All right,
furry one,
okay.
and it's at the bottom of the box. And I just wish sometimes we take the batteries out because it goes off at the strangest times.
Yeah, it's a proper earworm, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Alistair turned 2 at the weekend?
Yeah, on Friday.
Friday, right. So what was his big present?
It was a Massey Ferguson tractor and trailer. So he loves...
Oh, not a John Deere.
Not a
you
John
picked a Tribe.
So a nice red tractor for him. He loves the tractors that go past our house. He's very interested in straw at the moment because they're all carting straw. So I don't know what he's going to put in his trailer. It's not going to be a bale of straw, but he'll fill it up with something, no doubt. So he loves it.
Elections are a great time for renewal, and they were always my favourite bit of the job. And I think also what was great about them was being able to work with our candidates up and down the country. And we've got some great candidates at this election. Absolutely.
And, we've got experienced MSPs who are standing again. We've got new candidates who are coming in. We've got councillors who are taking the step up to become MSPs, a similar route that I took after 10 years in Murray Council to then become an MSP, MP, and now look at where I am leading the party. A real range of experiences that we're taking in, and I can just see it's such a strong, positive team and a group of people that want to get out there, work hard, represent the communities that they're standing up for, and also deliver that strong Scottish Conservative message in the Parliament.
We'll pick out a couple then. I'm going to put you on the spot, and you're not getting away with a Ken McIntosh answer. Pick out a couple that you think that you want to see getting in, either returning or that you want to see getting in for the first time.
Well, if I look at some of the new ones, Douglas Lumsden, leading Aberdeen City Council, he's been working with, they were elected as Labour councillors, but obviously got suspended for the party for daring to work with the Scottish Conservatives. But Douglas has led a great team in Aberdeen City Council, named the top council in the UK last year. So he's done great work. Really good to see Annie Wells topping the list in Glasgow. Annie and I came into the Scottish Parliament at the same time. Really good candidates right up and down the country.
She's got a great number 2 on that list in Sandesh, who works for the BBC as a kind of celebrity GP.
Yep.
That tells you all about all your difficulties. He could look at your hamstring.
Well, exactly. I was watching Sandesh the other day, giving an interview from his surgery. So he's a great number 2 on the Glasgow list. Megan Gallagher in Central Scotland again, another young female councillor who's done great work. I think she chairs the audit committee in her local authority, so she'll take that scrutiny into Holyrood as well. So lots of real talent coming into our benches.
Well, we've got the TV debates coming up. Are you ready to get in about Nicola Sturgeon?
Yeah, I've been waiting for this for some time. I've been watching you interrogating Nicola Sturgeon at First Minister's Questions, and look, there's a lot to debate with her. The 14 years of failure that we've seen from the SNP, the current scandal that they are going through, and their lack of vision for Scotland going forward. As you've said, the Scottish Conservatives have got great policies to take the country forward, and what do the SNP offer? Just more division with another referendum.
Well, what I'm interested in is, you mentioned that Crystal was pregnant. You're expecting your second. Congratulations. She's due not long after the election. I'm having visions of you having to rip the mic off and run from a TV debate to be by her bedside in the birthing suite. Who is it that you've got lined up to take over if that happens?
Well,
have you got a plan of attack?
I don't have a fourth official ready to take over if that happens, but maybe I should start thinking about it. But the only good thing would be I'd be in Scotland at least, because last time when Alistair was born, I'd left Murray to travel down to London for a major vote in Westminster, landed at Gatwick and got the phone call to say her contractions had started, so I had to try and get back up the road again. And I know I'll never, Crystal had all the hard work that day, but trying to get home in time and thinking I was going to miss it was one of the worst experiences I've ever had. And I got there with about 90 minutes to spare, so hopefully I don't cut it quite as finely this time.
Well, you can never do this job of being a politician, never mind a party leader, without support. And doing that with 2 children under the age of 3 as you're going to is a big commitment. So presumably you're pretty blessed in terms of the support that you have.
I do, and Crystal's my rock. She absolutely backs me 100%, and I hope it's the same from me to her. With Alistair, we're just so delighted to have him running around the house. I don't know how he's going to take to a new one, because he's clearly the centre of attention at the moment. He knows what the bump is. He doesn't quite understand that the bump in Mummy's tummy is not the same as his kind of belly or dad's belly. So we've got a bit of teaching to do, and Murphy as well. well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel sorry for your dog.
yeah.
He's going to go down the pecking order.
Even further. So and he's been so good with Alistair as well. You know, just he's. Alistair likes to play with everyone and anything, and sometimes Murphy isn't up for playing, but he just goes through to his own room and jumps up in a bed and gets away from it all. But it'll be interesting times, no doubt.
Well, if there's one message you want everybody that's watching this to take away this side of the election in May, what is it that you'd like to tell them?
Look at what we did in 2016. People said an SNP majority was inevitable, independence was inevitable. It wasn't in 2016, it's not at this election, because we are the strongest party right across Scotland to take the challenge and the fight to the SNP. We did it 5 years ago, we can do it again, and Scotland will be the better for it.
Well, Douglas, we're behind you all the way. Thanks so much for speaking with me today. Everybody, Douglas Ross.